Please forgive the tardiness. Today, I was filling in Des Moines, Iowa, for a friend of mine, Simon Conway, and had a great time doing it. So I'm later tonight because you matter to me, because digging into Dallas-Fort Worth issues and Texas issues matters to me. And so I spent the time digging in hard for what is going on in our community and our state. And you will be well rewarded for your patience, I promise you this, or at least I think so. We have, you remember Robert Morris, Gateway Fellowship Church, or Gateway Church, on the advisory council of President Trump? It appears that we may have the same kind of thing in former, now disgraced coach for Celina ISD, Bill Elliott, the football coach, whose son is sitting in a jail charged with many violations, sick violations of boys in the school, Celina ISD. It appears to me that we have a Robert Morris, perhaps, in Bill Elliott, perhaps. I'll get into that coming up. You don't want to miss that. Also, I am floored and amazed to see Dallas embroiled in a massive scandal now, where it appears Kimberly Bizer Tolbert, the city manager, Miss Wokula, as it were, it appears that she has been trying to recruit the Mavs to take over City Hall, perhaps. According to reports, it appears that she may have been doing that more than a year ago, according to the Mavericks' top guy. And so the city council, many on the city council, are shocked and disgusted and outraged to hear that Kimberly Bizer Tolbert decided, apparently, over a year ago, I want to get out of Dallas City Hall. I want the Mavs to buy it. I'm going to go straight to the Mavs without anything with the city council. That's what these allegations appear to be. So that's coming up. Also, big updates, or at least some updates on Epic City, AKA the Meadows. And I got so much more stuff, but we're going to have a lot of fun. I promise you that, too. And you can get to meet the newest police officer in Fort Worth who has 4 legs, and he has a specialty. And Chief Eddie Garcia pinned this officer, this brand new Fort Worth officer. And I can't wait to show you that new officer with 4 legs. And pause. But first, let's do this. This show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com. Helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. IRSprob.com. Randy Martin is my friend. He's been my CPA for my business for over 9 years. All right, let's get into it. There is a woman who alleges that in 1995, she was raped by disgraced former head coach of Celina ISD football. She said that 30 years ago, he invited her to her house. She says, and I'm going to give you the allegations in a nutshell before I read the story specifics to you. She says in a nutshell that he was, I think, flirting or doing stuff like that, something of that nature. I'll read the allegations to be specific, but that he invited her to his house to have dinner with him and his wife, she alleges. And when she showed up, there was no dinner and no wife. She alleges that he then and there raped her and then handed her clothes and told her to get out, and that he invited her back and others were being invited, and she told them, stay away. And she says she had to come out now. She said she came out now because, and this was an exclusive with Texas Scorecard today. They did a bang-up job on this, interviewing her, the woman who says that former Celina coach Bill Elliott raped her 30 years ago in 1995. She says that she decided to come out and stop keeping her silence when there was cover-ups and excuses for Coach Bill Elliott's son, who, as you know, is sitting in prison right now. Caleb Elliott was, and we'll get into that too in a little bit, was pushed hard, and the principal was pushed hard by his daddy, Bill Elliott. Now, what you'll see here in both of them are allegations of sexual perversion, allegations of rape, or other vile things. And I got to tell you, I know this. Now, I don't know this about the Elliots, but I know this. First, I know a hell of a lot of people are suing the Elliott family right now, rightfully so, from Celina ISD. But I know this. You do not, speaking of Coach Bill Elliott's son, Caleb, charged with vile things for boys, students in his middle school that he was a coach at, you do not suddenly become a vile pedo pervert. Something happens to you that sets you off on that course. Maybe he was molested. Maybe there's sexual perversion in the household he grew up in. I don't know. But you don't just start doing vile things. Something happened to him. Now we're seeing an allegation from his dad, the former, now disgraced former Celina ISD head coach. So, did his dad have a house or have a sexual perversion that the son was exposed to somehow? I don't know. But I do know this. You don't do what Caleb Elliott's accused of doing and sitting in prison for right now without something happening to you. I do know that. And I do know that this is the most apparently, and I'm not a sports guy. I have to caveat everything because you got people who say, oh, you don't know what to talk about. You don't know. I don't know anything about sports. I throw myself in the mercy. I don't give a frog's fat, you know what, about most sports. But I care about this. Because to me, this is unequivocal sports over and victory and winning and sports over protecting children. That's what this is. When I see the record of now disgraced former Coach Bill Elliott and Celina, who, by the way, to avoid a TEA, Texas Education Agency, that regulates teachers and all sorts of stuff in Texas for teachers and teaching in schools, etc. He agreed because the TEA was about to start this investigation of this rape allegation. You know, the idea that all these parents, all these kids being raped and violated by teachers all over the place that we see over and over again locally, statewide, and nationally, the idea that this wasn't going on back then is BS. It's BS. Thankfully, a lot more is getting exposed. But getting back to this, Bill Elliott reportedly did not want the TEA to investigate the allegations of rape against his former student at the school in 1995. So what he did was he agreed to retire, and he agreed to not fight this or defend or have to defend himself. And in exchange, he will never be able to teach in Texas again. He lost his teaching certificate. He's done. But he's not been brought to justice, in my opinion, if these allegations are true. But this is like Robert Morris. I will never back down, even though Robert Morris at the time, for several years was on Donald Trump's panel of pastors that were his advisors, including my pastor, Dr. Robert Jeffers. But I will never back down from telling the truth for you, to you. And Robert Morris had a sin, and he lied about that sin for whatever it was, 20 or 30 years. He lied and said that he had some dalliances with a woman. And he lied, and he lied, and he lied. He raped a little girl. And that little girl finally got her justice over the past couple years. And whether Bill Elliott or not, whether he did or didn't rape this woman, I don't know. And I can't prove anything. But this reminds me a lot about Robert Morris. You hide you hide a sin, and you hope for it to go away. But eventually, you are exposed and you are brought to justice. Let's get into the details on this. Texas Scorecard steals the day because they got the exclusive of the woman who alleges that he raped her, Bill Elliott, in 1995. Quote, Bill Elliott has been accused of raping a female Celina Independent School District student more than 30 years ago. The TEA reviewed the allegations, and the new Inspector General for Educator Misconduct pursued disciplinary action against the elder Elliott, Coach Elliott, who chose not to defend himself against the allegation. That's in a court of law. It's called nolle contendere. I don't contest the charges, the allegations. And he now receives, because he didn't want to defend against it, he receives permanent revocation of his teaching license, and he's on the do not hire registry. But this guy, this dirtbag, I'll call him a dirtbag, this dirtbag could go into some other state. This is what happens when you idolize a man. This is what happens when you put sports above other things, or anything above other things. That comes before everything. And I believe that's why people have been exposed and all sorts of bad stuff have happened to people because they're overlooking horrible things while this man wins all these victories. Both Coach Bill Elliott and his son are defendants in multiple civil lawsuits filed against Celina ISD by families of nearly 40 boys targeted by Caleb, his son, Coach Elliott's son. Quote, the woman said to Texas Scorecard, I buried it for some 30-odd years, the rape allegations. The former student said Bill Elliott's assertion on October 2025 school board meeting that he should be allowed to keep, here we go, what made her come out and say this man raped me was the coach's assertion, Bill Elliott's assertion, in October 2025 school board meeting that he should be allowed to keep coaching kids as only Caleb, his son, was responsible for his crimes, prompted her to confront what happened to her. He says, don't punish me for my son. I'm unaware of anything. And she says, are you freaking kidding me? She says, you raped me, she says. Bill Elliott joined the Celina coaching staff in 1993 and befriended his accuser, Scorecard reports, who was a high school junior that year. She recounted how he attempted to leave. During her senior year, 1994, 1995, she said Coach Bill Elliott invited her to have dinner at his home along with his wife, but when she arrived, there was no dinner and no one else was there. She recounted how he attempted to leave. She attempted to leave, but Bill Elliott physically blocked her exit, and then sexually assaulted her. When he was done, she said he handed over her clothes and walked her out. I believe her. And I believe her especially since his son is sitting in prison for vile things against boys. And there is Drag559 chiming in. God bless you. And I can see your comments. Do that. Keep coming in on the comments. I love it. And says, Drag559 says, absolute dirtbag. A to the men on that. Wait till you hear the rest of this. Afterwards, she said it all happened so fast, the rape. Afterward, she says he handed her clothes and said and walked her out. I believe her. Afterwards, she said Bill Elliott started harassing her at school and calling her house. They always prey on the ones who are weak. They always prey on the ones whose parents might not be there for them. I don't know about this young woman, but God bless her for speaking out. Once word got out, remember what the liberal Democrats say, who I don't trust or support in any way, shape, or form. Even the broken clock is right twice a day. Remember what the liberal Democrats say, believe all women. Once word got out, she said Bill Elliott and a female coach that she didn't even know cornered her at school, accused her of lying, and said she was jeopardizing Elliott's career and livelihood. You are jeopardizing this winning coach's livelihood and career. You, who she says was a rape victim of his, and now they're turning and shaming her and blaming her. She then told another adult that Bill Elliott had been sexually harassing her at school. That adult advised her he had shared the information with the district and police, but was told Elliott used a burner phone, quote unquote, that couldn't be tied to him, so it was her word against his. Not true. Should have gone. I wish she would have gone to the cops. Statute of limitation on rape of somebody 17 and older, I believe it is, here we go. The age of consent is 17, so she was apparently 17 or 18, which is why if you're a sexual assault on a child, the statute of limitations is there is none on sexual assault of a child. But since she was 17 or 18, perhaps that's why the statute of limitations is passed at 10 years, unfortunately. My senior year was a blur, she says. I just wanted to graduate and slip away. But 31 years later, hearing members of Bobcat community defending Bill Elliott triggered her to report his actions to authorities, even though he can no longer be criminally prosecuted. I'm proud of you, ma'am. And listen to this. The Celina ISD spokeswoman right now is still pimping for disgraced coach and now an alleged rapist, Bill Elliott. Even after this guy is disgraced and out of the district, Celina ISD spokeswoman is still protecting him. Watch this. She says, it's the district's understanding from TEA that Mr. Elliott's action is not an admission of guilt. So, in other words, we may have hired a rapist and kept a rapist and covered stuff, but he didn't admit guilt. Still covering up for the alleged rapist. It's the district's understanding from the TEA, Celina ISD spokeswoman says, that Mr. Elliott's action is not an admission of guilt. Rather, it reflects the fact that he has retired from the public education and has no interest of incurring additional legal expense of dealing with any potential litigation in this matter. Celina ISD is literally acting like their coach Bill Elliott, former coach Bill Elliott's freaking spokesperson and lawyer. Why is Celina ISD still pimping for this guy? Why are they still seemingly defending him and on his side? What would it take for Celina ISD to actually step up and speak against this man? What does he have? A picture of all the school board members and the superintendent with a goat or something? God bless her for coming forward. She did the right thing, says Drag 559. Amen to that. All I wanted, the young woman says, all I wanted was his certificate taken so they couldn't go to another school and do it to another child. The former student said, I got the outcome I wanted. I won. I feel like she didn't fully win. I'm not here to go after an alleged rape victim, but I'm here to say I feel like she didn't win. And I cannot believe Celina ISD is still trying to defend this guy. It's unthinkable. Now, getting to Dallas Express coverage of this today, this is what they say, 1995 misconduct allegation against former Celina ISD head coach Bill Elliott. Here's why this is all covered up. Here's why his son, who had no business being near any children, is sitting in prison for vile things against boys at a middle school that he pushed the principal at this middle school to give him a job, even though it was against all the normal procedures according to reports. This is why. Quote from the Dallas Express today, Bill Elliott's team won the 2024 Class 4A Division 1 state champion before he was placed on administrative leave in October of 2025. After his son Caleb was arrested, Elliott finished with a 150-win, 38-loss record, 150-38. That is insanely successful. That's why this was all hidden, covered up, or overlooked. Because he's a massively winning coach. Because that's the message, kids. Bend over, let them do what they want to you. Shut up. He's winning, and give his son a job when vile things could happen. That's what the message is. Winning, kids. Behold our God with a little G. Winning. At the expense of you, children. That's the message from Celina ISD. Bill Elliott reportedly agreed to surrender his teaching certificate in lieu of TEA investigation into the alleged misconduct and has been placed on the state's do not hire list. But he can go to my former state, former home state of Illinois, and get a job. He can go anywhere outside of Texas. To me, this is not justice. Caleb Elliott, his son, as we all know, 26, former Celina ISD middle school football coach and substitute teacher, faces multiple state and federal charges tied to secretly recording boys in a Moore middle school locker room. Can you imagine your 12-year-old boy being recorded for a sick head coach's son's pleasure? Could you imagine knowing that head coach got his son the job and went against all their regular policies and pressured that principal at that middle school to hire his son so he could then prey on, according to authorities, charges local and federal and state? Can you imagine? The charges that he faces include invasive visual recording, possession and promotion of child pornography, and sexual performance of a child. Police say 38 boys were allegedly victimized between spring and fall of 2025. Civil lawsuits have accused Coach Bill Elliott and other district officials of ignoring warning signs about Caleb Elliott's behavior. Remember, his dad is this winningest coach, perhaps one of the most winningest coaches in football, in Texas football. That's an insanely successful record. Isn't that a great message to the children? Winning is more important than you being violated. It's unbelievable. A third-party report noted that Bill Elliott pressured a middle school principal to hire Caleb Elliott despite her reservations. Hire my son, hire my son, hire my son. He needs access to little boys. The report detailed concerns about Caleb Elliott's hiring, including interactions involving his father, then athletic director Bill Elliott, AD. That's a big, strong position in the district. And school administrators. Witnesses told investigators they feared retaliation for speaking up, according to community frustration. Caleb Elliott surrendered his teaching license and remains in jail on multiple federal charges. Disgusting. I hope they sue and get everything out of them, and I hope that every member of the Celina ISD school board, superintendent, every one of them gets thrown out if they haven't been already. Mavs and City Hall, a massive. I hate it when news places say bombshell, because whenever they do, you read into it. It's like there's no bombshell here. It's like it's a story, but it's not a bombshell. This is a bombshell. I have to admit. The description on this is right about the Dallas Mavericks being approached by the city manager of Dallas, Kimberly Beiser Tolbert, or whatever. Yeah, that's right. Miss Wokula, as I guess I'll start calling her, for literally trying to get the Mavs into City Hall a year earlier and pretending for the next year that she is studying whether it's sufficient to stay in the building and revamp it or sell the property. She apparently knew what she wanted and went for it, and then pretended and did kabuki theater, acting for a year or so, pretending like she was judging the merits on whether should we sell City Hall or should we revamp it. We'll get to that in just a moment, but first, this whole show is brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy Martin has been my CPA for over 9 years, and let's show a few pictures. Randy was invited to speak at his alma mater, UT Austin, which has the best accountancy school in the state, and there he is meeting with the Cheerins at UT Austin, speaking to them. He is a great success. He's a wonderful family man, and I am friends with him, his wife Norma, and just an amazing, wonderful man. And so he's done my taxes now for over 9 years for my business, which is this. Among many other things. So, and for my wife too. So if you have IRS problems, use him. If you need a tax planner, use him. You can call 214-214-3000. See, I know the number. 214-214-3000, or go to IRSprob.com. Also, I'm wearing a very important hat. Due West Foundation and Plumbing. I cannot tell you how much of an honor it is to recommend Due West Foundation and Plumbing, because my friend Jim Dutton, the host of Texas Home Improvement on TV and radio, it's his company. It's a multi-generational company. His father, Jim, and his sons are now running the business with him. And I know them all. Adam, Johan are the sons. I know Jim's wife. By the way, Jim's wife, Mary, my wife worked for Due West for 3 years with Mary in the office. And we are very, very good friends of the Duttons. We love them very much. Anyways, the point is this. Before my wife worked for them, before we were very good friends or whatever, Due West Foundation came to my house before I bought this house I'm sitting in and inspected the plumbing and the foundation. They did a static test. Plumbing, it passed. They checked the foundation, said you're on the bubble, but if you do this and this and this, it'll be fine. Since then, they've done everything plumbing in my house, replacing my water heater, 17 feet of pipe below the house, putting a root shield around my house for all these big trees so they don't suck up the water from underneath the house, all sorts of stuff. So if you want the best, call Due West. 972-406-0912, 972-406-0912, Due West. They do foundation and plumbing, and you don't want to have a separate plumbing guy from your foundation guy because they blame each other. Jim taught me that. Second of all, they do they graded my backyard too. They do grading. They also do what are they called? Retaining walls, concrete leveling, foundation, of course, and plumbing. Use them like I do. All right, continuing on. Let's go to this is the Rick Welts, the Dallas Mavericks CEO. This is 3 days ago, March 27th, and this is put together by a guy who speaks out on issues that are controversial in Dallas and reports on them, Damian Levesque, who is also called Dallas and Fuego on X, according to Dallas Express. And here's what the Dallas Mavericks CEO, Rick Welts, said Friday morning. Friday morning, he said this, that Kimberly Beiser Tolbert, a.k.a. Miss Wokula, the city manager of Dallas, told him over a year ago, hey, would you like to check out City Hall and maybe take it over in this area? What? I thought you've been investigating whether we should fix City Hall. You already made up your mind a year ago, didn't tell anybody?
Over a year ago, city manager Tolbert came to us and said, look, I got to move out of City Hall. I can't afford to operate what we do in that building going forward for the taxpayers. And I said, okay, that doesn't have anything to do with us. But at some point in time, you'll tell us what's available. And then we can sit down and have a conversation about it. We would like to have 50 contiguous acres. It's not up to us to decide whether City Hall is available or not. We're waiting for the city. It's up to the city to decide, what's in the best interest of Dallas taxpayers going forward in terms of the future of that building, and we'll proceed off of that.
And there it is, Dallas and Fuego, his account. So this woman, as the city manager, doesn't need city council approval, doesn't need to inform city council, doesn't need to inform any of us. She just does whatever she wants and then play acts for over a year that she's having a real investigation into whether the city hall should be revamped or should just be sold and we put City Hall somewhere else. The woman is an actress. She is not a city manager. She makes up her mind and doesn't do what everybody thinks she's supposed to do and knows she's supposed to do, which is work with the city council. So the whole thing has stunk from to high heaven. But this came out today, kind of exploded out today. And I'm going to share with you from both the Dallas Morning News and Dallas Express. And, oh, my gosh, let me start with this because this is great. Kara Mendelson is one of the city council members for years that I've known of, and usually is one of the ones that says the intelligent things, along with Paula Blockman does some of that too. But Kara Mendelson is the one from North Dallas who is has her head screwed on straight. Kara Mendelson said this, city manager. She wrote this publicly and posted it. City manager, the audio recording of the Mavericks CEO is quite alarming. The idea and concept of abandoning City Hall was never listed on any committee directive or city council agenda prior to August 2025. Well, let's do the math on that. September, October, November, December, January, February, March. That's 8 months ago. The idea was, and concept was never listed on anything until August 2025. So apparently 3-4 months earlier, or maybe more, I don't know, she was already doing this behind their back. The briefings, Kara Mendelson says to the city manager, Ms. Wokila, the briefings you mentioned in your statement occurred in May and June of 2025. May and June. June, July. I mean, that's 3 to 4 months beforehand. I am struggling, Mendelson says, I am struggling to understand how you, city manager, how you could have had that conversation more than a year prior to March 2026 as the Mavs CEO stated, question mark. Did anyone ask you to offer City Hall to the Mavericks, or did you decide to offer this on your own? Thank you, Kara Mendelson. I love a woman or a man who speaks truth to these people that think they can do what they want and get away with it. This is amazing. This is a massive scandal. This is, I mentioned from time to time, I'm from Chicago. I fill in Chicago a lot for a talk station there. And this is like you would see in Chicago. This could cause Kimberly Beiser Tolbert her job, and it should. This really could, though. This ain't going to get better. And you have an authority figure like the Dallas Mavs CEO. He's not going to go out and lie about stuff like this unless he wants to lose his job. I think she's screwed, and I think she should be in this position here. So he said Friday morning that city manager Kimberly Beiser Tolbert first approached the Mavs over a year ago about City Hall likely being available for an available site for the Mavericks' new arena and entertainment district. City manager Tolbert came to us and said, look, I've got to move out of City Hall. I can't afford to operate what we do in that building going forward for the taxpayers. So why has she been acting and pretending? And who else knew about it? Dallas Express says this, before the Dallas City Council, she did this more than a year ago, before the Dallas City Council had publicly discussed moving City Hall. They had never had any public discussions. Welch said the Mavericks would like 50 contiguous acres. You heard that. City Hall is on 11.8-acre site south of downtown near parking lots and vacant parcels. Well, obviously that could be sold out probably, but nonetheless. Isn't it amazing how the city manager plots behind everybody's back and then pretends like they're paying people to investigate what's the right thing to do? Carol Mendelson posted this on Facebook, quote, so the Mavericks CEO heard from Dallas city manager that she wants to move out of... Hold on. Sorry. This is not the same quotation. She says, Kara Mendelson said, so the Dallas Mavericks CEO heard from the Dallas city manager that she wants to move out of City Hall before the city council and before any assessment was done. Billions of dollars at stake, Mendelsohn wrote. This is not how representative government should work, and I have deep concerns about what's happening at City Hall. You should, because this is a scandal, and there's probably a lot worse things that are going to come out through this, and a lot of lying. By the way, the Dallas Morning News said that they were filing for open records requests. I'll get into that in a minute because it's very interesting what they found. And you're going to hear from some other city council members who are leftist and woke, but still, this is not a political left or right thing. This is a right-wrong thing. The guy that broke this story, Mr. Levesque from Dallas and Fuego, says this even further compromises the $1 billion estimate that was given to fix City Hall. That's exactly right. This further compromises the $1 billion estimate that was given to fix City Hall. If Tolbert's motivation the entire time was to get out of the building, and has been for months, if not over a year, then it seems even more suspicious that the report that they issued saying, well, yeah, we got to move out of City Hall, is valid, is legitimate. It's not. She made her mind up, paid for a study, I'm sure, telling them what the results should be. I don't know for a fact, but I'll be shocked. The whole thing's a joke. The whole thing's rigged. Now, here's some more council members speaking out. Adam Bazaldua, who I am not a fan of in any way, shape, or form, but he's right here. He says it was as if the city created a problem in order to furnish a solution. That's right, they created a problem. I don't like what this place is like. Let's pretend it's bad and too expensive to fix. Hey, Mavs, we need you to come in here and buy this for us. This is bad. Stinks to high heck. Bazaldua said, even the biggest voices in support of justifying this process and being fair and transparent have lied to the public. This is about a clear, predetermined outcome, he says, and a process that was flawed and was not afforded the proper public input opportunity. Similarly, Councilmember Paul Ridley said, Welt's comments are alarming. The Mavs, CEO. It's alarming. It's the first time he'd heard the city manager admit that Dallas could not afford to operate City Hall. And you're hearing it from the Mavs CEO a year later. Ridley says, but to have said that a year ago to a sports team executive without authorization from city council to put City Hall on the market is just astounding, he rightfully said. Ridley represents downtown where the AAC sits. I used to work right there. She's clearly exceeded her authority, and she should publicly explain herself, Ridley said. I think she's gonna have to resign. I think they can fire her. The city council can fire her because they hired her. Ridley said the site felt. City council member Ridley said the discussion with Welts about the City Hall site felt like information that had been intentionally kept from city council. That's exactly right, because she knew what she wanted to do, and she was going to get her way no matter what. He says, especially given the public meetings held since last fall about the building's future, residents of Dallas had a reason to be suspicious about this process, he says. Councilmember Paula Blackman said this, it sure sounds like the fix is in, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Who the hell's in charge? Who the hell is sitting and making these decisions, and why? She says, it seems designed to create a predetermined narrative rather than an objective assessment. That's exactly right. So this woman is, I think, in big trouble, and I think she's going to have to lose her job. This is a real scandal, obviously. Okay, now we're going to do some blitzing and some fun. Court temporarily blocks Epic City's utility district. This is from Texas Scorecard today. Court temporarily blocks Epic City's utility district. And there's a few highlights I'll read to you, but here's what the deal is. This is all being delayed, but it's not going to be stopped. There's going to be something that to stop Epic City. There's going to have to be stuff. There has to be. This is going to be a no-go zone. That's really what came into my mind today. If Epic City, a.k.a. the Meadows, is built, it's going to be a no-go zone. It's going to be a Muslim enclave, a Muslim compound, no-go zone. They will develop their own Sharia. They will develop their own city, their own everything, their own paradise on earth. And it'll be one big no-go zone. It'll be like a Dearborn, Michigan. This is what they're freaking planning. This is what they're planning. I think all these stops and these temporary things are great, but I don't think it's going to get what we want. I think we are going to be the ones that have to stop Epic City, aka the Meadows, peacefully, and through the law and through speaking out. We have got to show up. I was there in the last meeting that they canceled. Show up at every one of these things, speak up, and do our best to peacefully and lawfully stifle and stop this from going forward in any way possible that's legal, lawful, and peaceful and respectful, but very firm. Because this will be an Islamic city and a no-go zone. My fear is that nothing's going to stop this. It's only going to be delayed, then eventually the inevitable is going to happen. My prayer is that it's stopped. Court temporarily blocks Epic City's utility district from Texas scorecard. The state says they appointed ineligible directors of the MUD, the Municipal Utility District, who then annexed the proposed Islamic development into the MUD, Municipal Utility District. Annexation to an existing MUD allowed developers to skirt new state regulations surrounding the creation of new utility districts. Quote, the state is just asking for a pause until we can figure out what's going on, says the Texas Attorney General's office to the judge. There is a lot of secrecy surrounding this board. It may delay the development, what's going on right now with the MUD's current directors and all the scandal there. It may delay the development approvals needed for the Epic City project to proceed, but to delay them is not to stop them. Drag559 saying, we need to know what we as Texans can do to stop this Muslim city from going forward. Well, here's what I will tell you is this. Pay attention to everything like a hawk. Show up at every meeting. And anybody that is involved, any elected officials in Collin or Hunt counties where this is going up, and every single person that's up for election, it might be on a water board, it might be on a utility board, it might be on the city council, it might be on county commissioner's court, and you have to raise hell, again, lawfully, peacefully, but firmly, and respectful, and show up at every meeting, and let the more of us that show up, the more of us that speak out, the more of us that go to these things, and the more of us to put the pressure on. The politicians get scared crapless if a lot of people show up and demand stuff. And that's what it has to be. We have to show up to meetings. We have to show up and speak out, and let every single person that runs any office that they're elected to, that we're going to throw them the hell out if they allow this to stop, if they allow this to go forward. That's what it's going to be. Peaceful but firm. Lawful but firm. Every single step of the way. And I will be there every single step of the way to be there, to speak out, and to let you know what's going on. But we need you to show up if you're in these areas. A bench trial is set for November 16th on the Epic City hearing. But again, this is not stopping it in any way, shape, or form. It has to be stopped. It does. It has to be stopped peacefully, but it has to be stopped. It has to be. Not an option. They're going to build a Muslim enclave, a Muslim no-go zone of city, just like Dearborn. I swear to you, that's what's going to happen. God help us. I'm not trying to be afraid either or act afraid. I'm just saying, God help us. God give us the wisdom, provision, stamina, energy, and wisdom to know how to stop this and to be involved. Mexican, okay, remember what the Democrats tell us. There is no such thing as voter fraud. Illegals don't vote because they're illegal. They'll go to the poll. What do you mean? They're not going to vote? Of course they're not going to vote because they're illegal. This doesn't happen. Oh, look what's in the Star Telegram today. Oh, Mexican national charged with voter fraud in Tarrant County. No. And illegal? Voting in Tarrant County? No. A Mexican citizen, an illegal Mexican, in the U.S. now faces federal charges, including fraudulently voting in a Tarrant County election, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Texas. Elicio Morales Tapia, 58, appeared before a U.S. magistrate judge today in Fort Worth. He faces Wednesday last week. He faces charges of identity theft, voter fraud, passport fraud, according to a news release. He obtained a driver license. By the way, can somebody tell Shambhavi Rimal at the Star Telegram that it's not a driver's license? A freaking reporter at a paper like the Star Telegram, it's not driver 'S license. It is driver license. It sounds stupid, but that's how you write it. A freaking journalist at the Star Telegram doesn't know it's driver license? And that made it through editing. Trust them. Obtain a Texas driver license and state ID card, as well as Social Security card and a U.S. passport by using a birth certificate, Social Security number, and other documents that belong to a man who lives in Chicago. He marked yes when he asked if he was a citizen on the voting forms. He voted in the Tarrant County election on November 5th, 2024, utilizing the victim's identity. How many more illegals are voting illegally? The Democrats want to protect this and have more of this. The defendant also used the victim's identity to obtain employment. You know what that does to the to the man in Chicago? It screws with his taxes. It destroys his taxes. He now has, like, God knows what, $50,000, $40,000, $100,000 of income that is reported under his Social Security number, but he has to pay for, not the illegal. This is unbelievable. The defendant used the identity to obtain employment. He could face up to 20 years in prison. And illegal voted in Tarrant County, and we're told that doesn't happen. Where's Bud Kennedy when you need him? Driver sentenced to life for killing Fort Worth police sergeant. Justice was served today. This woman who previously was charged for shooting her lesbian lover was driving drunk, drinking shots of tequila, drove the wrong way, drove her car right into a Fort Worth police sergeant as he stood on the interstate ramp, killing him the mentor and husband of 35 years. We're watching something. I don't know if it's my daughter or my wife. We're watching something on social media, and she goes, it was my wife. She goes, is that real? It shows a cop talking to a woman and saying, step over here, step over here. They're on a highway. And they're behind her car to the right. And he goes, let's step over here, step over here. You know, he goes, people get hit all the time. So he steps her off to the grass. And then literally seconds later, wham! And the car goes, whoosh. They're fine. And he says, that's exactly why I said we got to step over. She goes, is that real? Is that really how? I goes, it happens all the time. I said, I follow news. It happens all the time. They're like, this has been decades I've known about this. Drunkards or drug people and other people that shouldn't be driving are like fireflies going to the zapping purple light, going to the police squads. Their intoxicated minds go toward the light. I'm not kidding you. Don't believe me. Look it up. Anyway, this woman, the jury in Tarrant County selected the most severe penalty they could give her for intoxication manslaughter causing the death of a peace officer. This wonderful mentor, man, husband of 35 years. And Officer Randolph, Sergeant Billy Randolph, I should say. Billy Randolph's widow said, I want you to know, Miss Evans, the woman who killed her husband, you just heard my husband's voice when she was sentenced to 30 years. And that's mandatory. His wife, Lisa, told the defendant after the verdict, noting that it had been 569 days since she had heard her husband's voice. I want you to know, Miss Evans, you just heard my husband's voice. Amen. Justice. Oh, this is great. You have to hear this. This is so great. This is some leftist journalist tweeting this out. In Wisconsin, undocumented immigrants, you mean in Wisconsin, illegals, perform roughly 70% of the labor on the state's dairy farms. At the O'Hara farm, the Republican family owners worry the immigration crackdown will hurt their workers and their business. Now comes a man named Daniel Kishie. And Daniel Kishie shares this from the New York Times and this from the New York Times. What is it? The New York Times recently published a column about a dairy farmer who deployed robots after immigration authorities arrested one of his workers. The farm now produces, without illegals, 3 times more milk than it did with the illegals. I'll read the quote directly. The farm now produces 3 times more milk per worker, while employees earn more money, work shorter hours, and do less grueling work. So these leftists will have you think that the dairy farmers will collapse if you don't have illegals, when in fact, fire the illegal, hire robots, and you will pay legal workers more, and they won't have to work as many hours, and they'll get paid more. Win, 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 win. Lie from the left and the illegal lobby. Chick-fil-A is offering free ice cream to families who agree to put their phones away during the meal as a part of an effort to encourage more face-to-face time and less screen use at the table. That's brilliant. That's wonderful. And it's so sad, isn't it, to see children with their parents and the parents are staring at their phone instead of staring at their kid and talking to their kid. With this podcast and with my fill-ins, I was on today in Des Moines. Wednesday I'm on in Phoenix, Arizona. And Friday I'll be on in San Antonio. So I'm running all over the place with that. The podcast takes a lot of effort, a lot more than it looks like. But it's all good. But I haven't had as much free time. And one of the things that's been on my heart is my daughter. And so today I said, do you want to go for a walk? We just went for a walk with the dog and just talked about her, not about me. Think about that next time you're with your daughter, your son. You know, are you present with them? Are you staring at your phone? Are you invested in them? Spend time with them, love them, pour into them. Relationships. Oh, God, this is great. Hold on, let me see if I have this on. I think I have this video. Do I? No, I didn't get the video. Dang it. Well, that's all right. Chaos at Miami Airport when 3 women were arrested because they were trying to sneak on free luggage without paying for it on Frontier flight. They were just tagged and bagged and dragged away in there. One of them was doing twerking while they're taking her away. It was great. Here's reason number 1 million why I will never stay in Airbnb or VRBO, and I hate them, and I don't want them in my neighborhood. I don't want them anywhere. Owner secretly filmed naked guests at California rental home. 44-year-old allegedly filmed his tenants through the blinds and from the inside of the residence where he lived on the 3rd floor. After several trips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children flagged his house, sheriff's deputies served a warrant and uncovered that he had filmed anywhere between 10 to 15 women at least one child around 6 years old without their clothes on. I'm never staying at these places. Secret Service will not let Tiger Woods drive Trump kids, even before the DUI, whatever you want to call it. What I've said about Tiger is, I mean, you have more money than any of us could ever possibly imagine, and you're still driving yourself around. It is selfish and a crime to drive drunk, or intoxicated. And by the way, the other thing was, I heard Ted Williams. You know Ted Williams, the former DC homicide detective who's on Fox News as a contributor a lot, although Paul Morrow is kind of taking over for him. Ted Williams, I call him Ted Williams, because whenever he's talking, he'll go but I like him. But he was saying that over the weekend with John Scott on Fox News, he was interviewing him, and he was saying that he refused the urination test, and that and so I'm sitting here thinking, well, in Texas, if you refuse a test, they can get a warrant to do a blood draw. Why didn't they do that to him? I don't know. But I do know that it's a crime in Florida to say no to a pee test. So I don't know how that's all going to play out. But all I know is this: it's the height of selfishness to say I'm going to be intoxicated and I'm going to drive. It's all about you, Tiger. All about you. He has a serious problem, and Buddhism is not the answer. Buddhism fails him at every turn because it is not peace. It is not the Prince of Peace, Jesus. It is in this Holy Week we're entering, right? We're in, I should say. So Buddhism's not working, brother. Try Christianity. It's a good thing. This is wild. This woman in Canada went to her doctor in the ER because she had tremendous crippling back pain, and the doctor's suggestion right away was euthanasia. Kill yourself. The death cult of leftism. I went to Vancouver General Hospital. I was approached by a young lady doctor whose very first words out of her mouth were, "We would like to offer you MAID, M-A-I-D, which is, I guess, euthanasia in Canada." That's what they think about. Kill yourself. Back pain, kill yourself. The woman said, I underwent treatment and surgery, and I'm fine, and I've toured the world since then, and they wanted to kill me. Are you surprised? I'm not. Sick. This guy, okay. The Chicago Bulls are in a world of trouble because they fired one of their star players because he's a Christian, because he refuses to support the LGBTQ worship And here's what he said that got him fired, apparently.
That the world can proclaim LGBTQ. Right? They proclaim Pride Month and the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month, to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it. They proclaim it on the billboards. They proclaim it in the streets. Unrighteousness. So how is it that one can't speak righteousness? How is it one that how are they to say that man, this man is crazy? I'm not the Jay I used to be, but the old Jay is dead. I'm alive in Christ. No matter what the basketball setting is, I'm born again. The Holy Spirit. I've been saved by Jesus Christ. No matter what, how many DMPs I don't get to play, or no matter how many points I score, those things are a temporary thing.
I am very proud of this young man, or however old he is. I'm very proud of him. And this is what the Chicago Bulls are saying. And it's unbelievable because it's so obviously because he's a Christian, because he believes the Bible and he believes God and Jesus. He's being fired. Here's what the Bulls released today. This is so ridiculous. Chicago Bulls announced today that the team has waived guard Jaden Ivey due to conduct detrimental to the team. So being a Christian is conduct detrimental to the team. Practicing your faith, authentic Christianity, which is what the world has believed, well, most of the world has believed over the past 2,000 years, that is conduct detrimental to the team. Being an authentic Christian, as my friend June Hunt says, is conduct detrimental to the team, being an authentic Christian. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing, isn't it? Now, let me play you this. This is crazy. This is a lady who says she was at DFW International Airport and went in the chapel, and it was just a bunch of Muslims that were trying to get her out of there. Let's see what she says. This is an influencer out of California. I reached out to her to see if she wants to come on. I'll see if she does. I'll have her on.
So I always go visit the chapels in airports. I like to see what airports still have chapels online, and a lot of them are disappearing. But Dallas has recently reinstalled their chapels. They used to have 2, then they had 0, and now they have 3. I've been to 2 of them today, and they're not really chapels. They're basically mosques with the word chapel on it. And it's mostly just prayer rugs, no crosses, a few Bibles. Very hostile environment when you go in there during prayer time. I actually refused to leave, and I stayed and prayed through all of the men's prayers. They were not happy that there was a woman in there, but they did it anyway. So I want to encourage everybody to find a chapel when you go to the airport. Find your chapel. Go in there and pray, and if you're cross with you, leave it. I don't like this.
Well, let me tell you what I think. I think that Sharia law, which is what they were passing out in our schools in Wiley ISD, understanding Sharia, understanding treating women like cattle. That's what Sharia law does. It treats women like cattle. A woman like that who's not covered up, wants to worship Jesus and worship her God, our God, the one true God, in a chapel. They think they can harass her, make her uncomfortable, get her out of there because she's cattle and she's not covering up herself. The more I learn and hear about this, and I kind of knew this already, obviously, but like we had my daughter's friend was over when she was 15. She worked in somewhere here in the Metroplex, in one of the suburbs, and it was a Muslim shop or area, and then she was like in like a restaurant or something, and I said, "Do they treat you like hell?" She says, "Yes." I said, "Do the Muslim men treat you like hell?" She says, "Yes." And that's the same kind of thing I'm hearing from her. You are cattle. Cover yourself up. If you don't, it's your fault if we do something to you. Vile. And you're not allowed to be here. Get out of here. You know what? Kiss my rump. I'm glad she stood up, and I believe every word she said. Q-Town dude just said this, chiming in. Proverbs 16, verse 18, King James Version. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. This is why NBA ratings are down. Way to go to this man for standing on his faith. You know what else? There's another one that somebody tweeted out that was absolutely perfect, and I might be able to find it on my Twitter feed as we're speaking, as I'm talking with you right now, because it's very important and it's very good. It says, "Blessed those who are persecuted, for you will." I can't remember how. I think I have it right here. Here we go. And this is exactly the verse for this. "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Matthew 5:10. Amen. Let's say it again. Ready? Blessed, and this is on my my Twitter feed, my X feed, at Chris Crock Show. Follow me there at Chris Crock Show, ChrisKrock. Blessed are those who sorry, I talked for 3 hours earlier today. Blessed are those who persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Amen. And all God's people say, Amen. Here's something cool to share with you. Donald J. Trump, his son Eric Trump, just came out with this is so awesome. This is going to be the Trump Presidential Library. Watch this. I love this. I love they're already come out with this. As you know, ABC News and all the other fake news outlets he sued and won money from are paying for a lot of this. And, a lot of his friends, Trump's friends, a lot of billionaires and such are going to contribute to this. Let's watch the brand new release rendering from Eric Trump today on the Trump Presidential Library, I believe in Miami. Absolutely stunning and beautiful. I mean, that I got goosebumps. And what does it say there? Anyways, okay, very cool, absolutely cool. I'm so excited. He is going to be one of the, if not one of the most consequential presidents in history, and it's real important to know this. He is sacrificing, and this is not cool, but also he's sacrificing the chances of us winning, as of right now, the midterms, and getting a massive defeat. But he's doing what he's doing in Iran for the right reasons, once and for all. And this is why he can't rush Iran. It might take another month. Once and for all, he is going to rid the world of Iran, its terrorism, and its ability to have a nuclear weapon. And he has to get the 900 to 1,000 pounds of yellow cake uranium enriched at 60%, of which, when they sat down in negotiations before he did Operation Epic Fury this time, between that and Midnight Hammer, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, his two top emissaries, went, and the first thing the Iranian people said was, we have enough nuclear yellow cake to build 11 nuclear bombs. That's how they started the negotiations. We do have to get every ounce of that yellow cake out. We have to completely destroy any ability to make enriched uranium ever again, and we have to destroy and defang their capabilities of attacking with the missiles, the drones, and it has to be done. If we leave too soon because of worrying about the polls, then this will go on forever, and they will be more emboldened. We have to get everything out of there. And it's going to be tough, and it's going to be, the whole thing he's deciding now is, are we going to take the yellow cake out? How are we going to do that? Extricate it, because we can go from the land, but then it's like, I heard 500 miles or something like that inland. Iran is two Texases. Two Texas together is Iran. It's not going to be easy, but he literally is also in the process of, he took out Maduro. And we better have installed somebody else in 6 months or a year or two, is my humble opinion. But he took out Maduro. He's about to overthrow the Cuban government, which is very, very important and very good. Just mind you that Iran had Hezbollah and Hamas training and having factories in Venezuela under Nicolas Maduro, as the media calls him, Nicolas Maduro! Nicolas! I'll just stop there. I can go on forever on that. Let me also play. This is the most beautiful and touching thing ever. This is, I don't know where I have his information. Oh, it's gosh, hold on. I got to look up his information again, because I'm gonna forget. I want to introduce this doggy, who is the latest police officer, and Chief Eddie Garcia does a great job of coming in and putting his badge on him. Here we go. This is Canine Copper. That's his name. Canine Copper. Copper. Just joined the Fort Worth Police Department today. He finally received his badge. Chief Eddie Garcia pinned our newest member himself. I'll read the rest after the video. Here we go.
I'm coming, bro. I'm coming. We're so very proud of you. You keep helping us take these bad guys off the street, okay? All right, here we go. Come on.
Let me pause it right there. Look at that badge. That badge means something. That badge means something. That badge means a hell of a lot to me. And I love that being put on that doggy. This is one of the most coolest, touching things in the world. God bless the animals that God gave us to protect, to serve, and to care for, and to love. God's gift to us, one of the many gifts to us, are our animals, our pets. Our little Chihuahua Maltese that's 7 pounds, and the comfort she provides. My daughter's cat, who I couldn't stand before because I don't like cats, but we did it for her because I love her. And the love and the support that beautiful cat provides for her. She just took it to the vet and found out the kidney stone passed that she had. Otherwise, it'd be thousands of dollars of surgery. Let's go back. I'm going to rewind it a few seconds. This is, again, Canine Copper, the latest addition to the Fort Worth Police Department. He sniffs out electronic storage detection as part of the North Texas Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Copper assists with child exploitation cases where he can sniff out electronic devices that can store child sexual abuse material, as well as being a certified service animal. We love you, Copper. Here we go. Here's the rest of it. Look at this beautiful boy.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Come on. Get him.
You see that? It says, just sworn in. I love that. Now, don't go hump anybody's leg. You're going to get fired for sexual harassment, okay? Now, hold on. It looks like I think they, at this point, before we watch this, they hid the cell phone, I think, and let's see if we can find it. I think that's what they're doing here. Watch it.
Someone's cell phone.
There he is.
Exhibit A.
God bless that doggy. And God bless the dogs that go in without the cops. I have the privilege of knowing a now retired police officer, and here in the Metroplex, and he was a canine cop for decades and decades. He went through 2 or 3 dogs. He heard me doing a tribute to one of our officers on my radio show who was killed, and he wanted to give me a t-shirt that they made in memory of him. That began our friendship. He would then invite me sometimes after my show in the evenings to watch canine training and training the canines. In other words, they'd go into an abandoned fire station, and it would be 3 or 4 other canine cops from other departments. They come together once a week, and they did training. They would wear the suit, and they would say, commands. Packen! Packen was one of the commands in German, I believe. And that dog would be off a leash, prone on the ground, and there would be a criminal behind all these desks. They train them so they can go over desks, and because they can slip on the smooth desk surfaces, all sorts of different things. It's so badass. I love it. And so the cop is, you have a cop, a good guy, and you have the bad guy in the suit, and the cop is frisking the bad guy as if it's a traffic stop or something. And then the dog is off the leash, sitting prone, and it's kind of going, because it wants to go. And it doesn't until 2 things. One time it was for the bad guy, all of a sudden, as he was being frisked, went at the cop. And so the cops know when that happens, they have to get back because the dog might latch on them on accident. So when the bad guy starts going, messing with the cop goes back, and the dog goes, boom, without a command. Wham! God's gift. It's just amazing. Oh, and then he would come over and let my daughter and my wife and I and my son see the dog, and they have a button on the uniform that they can hit, and then he did this to show us. He hits the button, and the SUV opens up in the back, and then you see this dog come on, boom, and then, but it's like, boom, it's like, holy gosh. When that thing pops out of that thing in like perfect formation or whatever, I mean, it's terrifying if you're on the wrong side. There are cases like one where there was a car theft or carjacking or something, and the chopper, the ghetto bird, was up in the air, and they're on the ground, and the ghetto bird can also see infrared. And he's in between 2 houses, and it's dark, and the cops are all standing outside, not near between the houses where it's dark. And they got their lights on. They're yelling, come out, we're going to let the canine go, we're going to let the canine out, and they won't. And they also see something inside of his pocket. It looks like he's got a gun in there, something infrared. And so they released him, and they go into those areas where it's pitch black, and there's a terrorist guy with a gun. And they go in there and they take that SOB down, they drag him out. Some of the most hardened criminals are terrified of the canines, and they should be. Whenever you hear that, that's the other thing too, there's 2 things. I was tased live on the air when I was in Atlanta because I wanted to show my support for it. It was all over the news and something. It was like that around that don't tase me bro time. And I'm a massive law enforcement supporter. I come from a multi-generational family of law enforcement. And so I got tased on the air, and we reacted it out like I was the bad guy. And when I was on the ground after they tased me, I was terrified. We were still kind of play acting. I was terrified. He said, stop moving. I'm like, no more, please. I said that, and I was terrified that he was going to do it again. And so if somebody gets tased and they still keep going after or resisting or going at the cop, that's somebody that's insanely high on drugs or insanely dangerous. If somebody doesn't listen and when they threaten the canine, that's another person that's insanely dangerous. So God bless these canine officers. We love them. And And God bless him. I was able to do the tug pull game with the dog and do, throw out the stuff, go retrieve this. But that thing, man, also when you're tugging with it, he says, don't get your hands too close because they'll, to get more of a grip and come in closer. So, I mean, you don't want that thing biting you. And there's two of them. There's the Belgian Malinois and there's the German Shepherd. And I forget which one. One of them's stupid. Yeah, he said that. One of them's stupid. And like they don't even notice there's a glass thing. Let's go bump right into it. All sorts of stuff. And Drug 559 says impressive copper. Love the job he will be doing. Amen to that. All right, one more thing I have for you, and then we're done. I think. Let's see what do I got here. Okay, this is. I'm just gonna play this from. Oh no, this is great. This is at the No Kings rally. Look at this guy. This is the funniest freaking thing with this guy. You just got to watch this. Here we go.
Out of office. Yeah. Would you like J.D. Vance to be the president then?
No, I would not.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who would you like to be the president?
Kamala Harris right now, but she didn't win. But
Can I point out something that we say no kings and no authoritarianism, but...
Wait, don't you love his red-orange makeup on his face? He looks like he escaped from the state asylum.
No kings and no authoritarianism, but... Kamala Harris, no one voted for her.
Yes, they did. Half the country voted for her, so let's not go there.
No one was voted for her to be the nominee.
Yes, they did.
Isn't that what, authoritarian?
You're going down the wrong road right now with me. I wouldn't go any further.
What does that mean?
I'm not going to talk to you anymore. That's what it means.
I just think it's ironic that no one voted for her to be the nominee. They just selected her like a king gets selected, right?
But keep it to yourself, okay? Bye. Have a good day. See ya. Take care.
What's your other sign say?
Oh, you don't need to see it.
Okay.
None of your business.
Oh, you gotta love these folks. And then I'm gonna do one more. Which one is? Oh, this one. This is from Ted Cruz a few weeks ago. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna play this whenever I feel like it from time to time. It's so freaking awesome. This is the best thing ever. Enveloping James Tallarico, who to this day, after repeated requests for the Dallas Express, will not say whether he's straight or gay or whatever. This is all in honor of him from Ted Cruz. He put this together. This is so awesome. Here you go.
They, them, energy.
God is non-binary.
Our trans community needs abortion care too.
They, them, energy.
Something that you love.
I love the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol.
Modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
Woo-hoo! Isn't that great? I love that. The woman kept a good beat. They, them kept a good beat. This show's brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. I will see you tomorrow. Appreciate you guys very much.